So awesome. Really glad to have you here. Bernard Koomson from deadHYPE, GmbH. Glad that you could make it here on a Friday evening after a stressful week, I can imagine. Right now there's a lot happening, like the past few weeks. We now have the Berlinale right now here in Berlin. Last week, or the week before, it was Fashion Week also, where you were probably quite busy. So yeah, glad to have you here.
Really happy to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's nice to sit down and talk to you properly as well, and have this conversation. So I'm super excited.
I mean, what a lot of people don't actually know, like you recently moved out of my old apartment where I used to live with my family.
Yeah, that you're my landlord, the official landlord.
Yeah. So now you're living in Neukölln, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You were in Charlottenburg for some time now. How do you like it out there now?
I mean, I fall in love with the West a little bit. So, like, as we talk about, it's somewhere that like you get to see Berlin in a whole different context. So I've been living in Mitte for a long time, in different places in Mitte, and then to move to Charlottenburg was just, I feel like it was a big disconnect from like what I knew of Berlin, and you really grow to adjust to it and love it. Of course, after a period of time, I had to like move on and go to a new apartment. And Neukölln is interesting. I mean, it's the hood, you know. It's like it's 100% hood, and it's such a similar feeling from home, like from back home for me. Mm-hmm. And I can't complain, of course. I mean, it's just different. It's a big adjustment, but it's like apples and oranges. I mean, it's the same, but that's the beauty of Berlin somehow.
I mean, it's vibrant. I kind of like Neukölln because there's so many cultures that like clash there.
It is like 100% multicultural. Like you walk around and you see everyone, you know. And I think in times in Berlin you can miss that. You can forget how mixed the city really is.
Mm-hmm. So absolutely. I mean, it's also been quite a journey for you. You grew up in Purfleet, in Essex. I mean, how was that back home?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in. It's called the Garrison Estate. It's an interesting place. I mean, it's like when I was young, I really felt like a big disconnect to this place, you know, to this area, because I used to have to like travel. I think I went to school in Havering, and I used to travel like 1 hour every day to school. So I didn't have friends in my area. I didn't like live in my area too much. You know, I was really like with my friends in school and taking like a bus, like a mini van to go to my school and come back, because my mum wanted me to go to like a school that's not in this estate or this area. So it was like I never really like clicked with this place. You know, it was tough. It was I had a lot of. I don't know how deep can we go, but I really had a lot of stress. You know, where I grew up was a lot of like neo-Nazis. Mm-hmm. So there was like a lot of people that had like been rehomed from prison. There's a lot of people that are, just like following some kind of like different way of life and different way of thinking. So of course, like being like a young black kid in this area, they're not used to us, because there was a big moment in the 90s where a lot of families would move from London to Essex to try and like, you know, get away from like expensive and, you know, like hustle bustle. And I think it was like in a time where this was just happening that it created a lot of conflict for like some of the families. And, you know, I can tell countless stories of like school of like people writing slave on my back, you know, being chased by like a parent and son in their cars, like to home, you know. So it was brutal. It was a lot, you know. And police don't care, you know. So it was a really interesting way to get to experience England somehow, mm-hmm. but with the same time of always being removed and going to my school, which was an hour and a half away, where like it's like completely mixed, and it's like all my friends from all these different like walks of life, you know, African, English, Jamaican, you know. So yeah, it was like I felt like I was kind of like in two worlds all the time, which was very, very it was interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, but you kind of also learn to adapt then in these two different worlds, which is probably also quite valuable later on in life.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I think that like that thing that we kind of like as people of black origin or like people of color, like we joke about this code shifting thing, you know, of like code switching, that you can be like super black in one environment, or you could be like, you know, what is like more socially acceptable or more socially understood in another. And I think that growing up where I did, I was really presented with people that are not like me a lot. So I would go home and I would speak Cockney to the people I know in this area, and I'd speak slang to my friends in school. And then I'd go to my mom, and my mom would speak to me in English because she's a teacher. She doesn't want me to speak slang or like, you know, like,
of course.
Not, yeah. So it was, yeah. It was very warped, you know. It's hard to like now, you know, I'm presented with it and I have to relive it. And I really, it was traumatic in some ways, to be honest.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, but you also got largely influenced during that time also with 90s hip hop music. You had a huge affection for like the sneaker culture. And was that like kind of also the time where you really delved in that essence of that culture and kind of also created that idea of maybe you want to be working in the creative field? Yeah,
I mean, when I was younger, I wore school uniform, so I wear like shirt and tie every day. Like we every day wear like a blazer, trousers, and like shirt. So everyone had like a uniform. Everyone wore the same, and I think that sneakers was a way of personality. So you could like kind of tell your personality, and at the same time, if you're in a lower income household, you could have a certain pair of trainers, and then you kind of play to the rules of like whatever society deems as rich or cool. So having a pair of 110s like Air Max 95s or Air Max 97s would make you seem like you're out of a situation that maybe you're in. So if you're low income and you have like a pair of cool trainers, people might think, oh wow, like, you know, like you got, you know, for that moment you're like a hero, and not, you're kind of like out of your situation, out of your, you don't feel like you're low income, you know, you're just cool. And so I feel like that it gave me such a sense of identity that it really resonated highly with me. So yeah, it definitely was like a driving force of like wearing uniform and having that personality moment with your shoes, like just black trainers, because you can wear sneakers as that are like black. So just wearing those black trainers of like TNs, or it helped to give me personality somehow.
Like we said, your first touch point with fashion and creativity was like the sneaker game. And apparently you were even so innovative in like finding ways to actually also afford these sneakers, because your mother, like she was working as a teacher, you said. Yeah. What did your father do for a living? Or was he playing a role in your childhood?
Yeah, I mean, I knew my father until he was, until I was 11. And my father, he went to prison. So I don't know, I mean, I don't know, I know, but I try to not think about it, of what happened, you know. I mean, it was, I don't know exactly what he had done, but all I know that he destabilized my family life. So from him going to prison and losing kind of that male role model in my house, my mom takes both. She takes the male and the female, you know.
I mean, that makes it obviously a lot harder also to maintain a very high living standard, and if everything is just lying on one pair of shoulders.
And I mean, and she really soldiered it. Like she did everything that she could, and you know, she really didn't make us, my sister and I, feel like we didn't have. So it was really, I think that there was never a moment in my youth that I would really be like confronted with this idea of like, oh, I don't have whatever. She really would try, you know, she did her best. So it was,
I mean, that was also the point where you kind of already thought a bit more outside the box by like selling sandwiches and stuff, right, in school, and like making a little bit of extra P.
Because I used to get free school dinners, you know. So in the UK, if you're like, you only get if you only have a certain amount of money in your household, you get eligible for certain benefits in school. So for example, you get like free school lunches, so you don't have to like, you can of course pack your lunch, but you can, instead of paying for dinners, you get like a school set meal. So I'd get a lunch and I'd get a lunch and a dinner, and I would always sell my my lunch. I would always sell like it's like you can get a sausage sandwich or a bacon sandwich. I'd always sell it 50p, and I would just keep the money and just like every day do this, you know, for like 3-4 years, and I'd save, I'd buy stuff. So I'd like make trades with people of certain things or buy.
Can you still remember like what was the like sneaker that you would like get from the first money that you kind of hustled your?
I bought a pair of blue TNs, and they were like my favorite shoes. They were like my go-to. And actually, when I brought them home, my mum threw them in the bin because she was like, "Where did you get these shoes from?" I couldn't explain it. I couldn't bring myself to tell the truth. So she was like, she just threw it in the bin. But
she thought like you were up to no good to actually make sure to get those.
Exactly. Yeah. So. Yeah, it's actually very funny rethinking it, but yeah, it was a pair of blue TNs,
sick.
Like Nike TNs, yeah.
And apparently you were also very adamant already at the age of 15 that one day you're going to be working for like Adidas.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was that something that you like manifested because later down the road, after like studying economics at the University of Essex, you literally got that internship at Adidas, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is like the pure power of manifestation. I loved the idea of like Adidas for me had like a really sweet spot of that. It felt like they were looking for people that weren't in sports. So they were working with like Jeremy Scott and like Nicki Minaj and A$AP Rocky, and it really exposed to me a different group of people outside of athletes, outside of like Jordan and like the more classical athletes that you can work with or brands can see as like, viable or interesting. So when I was 15, I was just really like, okay, I really want to do this. I really want to work for Adidas. Like, it sounds so amazing for me. I could be part of this brand. And I mean, this was like prior the Kanye, prior like some of the like newer like things, advancements in the brand. But yeah, it was really something that I just had my heart set on. I tell my friends like, hey, listen, like after I'm done, this is where I'm going. This is my journey for myself. So.
And how did that internship then come about? Because that was the first time you were moving to Germany as well, right? To Herzogenaurach, where they have their HQ.
So I mean, I was at I worked. I when I was not at uni, I would travel on the weekends to go and work in Covent Garden. So Covent Garden in London. And I'd work at a shoe shop called an office in Offspring. Mm-hmm. It still exists now on Neal Street. And I would, I loved Adi so much that I would like have a lot of information about it that they said, you know what, you can be the Adidas guy here. Mm-hmm. If someone comes with Adidas questions, they go to you.
You got them.
And then, my colleagues and everyone knew that I was so keen to go and work there, like work at Adidas, that one day, someone from Adidas came in, Emily, shout out Emily. She came into the store and she was like, hey, people told me you know a lot about Adidas. We started chatting, I'm telling her about the brand and like everything that I know and like, just like trying to impress her, like gas her up about what I can know about Adidas. And then she's like, hey, you know what? I like your energy. Come, like, let's come. We have an internship in Germany. Do you want to move? And I'm like, okay, I'm done. Of course, I love the UK for many reasons, but I was stuck there. I was not making more of myself. I was just, I was working in retail, and I think I would have been happy in my situation. It's not to discredit anyone that wants to work in retail, and I think it's like it's a great platform to meet amazing people. It's a great platform to really understand like roles and responsibilities, especially if you're from an uneducated background or you want to like put yourself in a space where you get paid, you get responsibility. I love retail as a profession for a lot of people, but for me personally, I felt stuck. I'd just been studying economics. I'd just been thinking about like, how can I grow a business, grow an empire, and I'm just here kind of like taking my wage and just like living check to check. Mm-hmm. So it was such a great moment for me to just dip, just really dip.
And how was the time in Herzogenaurach? Apparently, you also got to meet some of the legacy holders from Adidas.
Yeah, I met Stan Smith, I met Beckenbauer, I met when I had such like I was working as an intern for PR and communications for Originals, and this is like when you are young, this is a dream job. This is the job. Like I remember. I don't want to talk too much about like Ye and these kind of people, but I remember when I was, 20 or so, that he comes into the office when he's leaving Nike, And so you're hearing these things happening in the news, leaving Nike, and you see him like walking down into the building, coming into the office, coming into my department's building, like I'm sitting at the chair where you're sitting, going into a meeting to have a conversation of how he can move to Adidas. And, you know, just to be like seeing that, you know, it's like, it's so surreal. And, you know, of course, like with all my colleagues and everyone that I worked with, they know like what I'm into. I'm very expressive with my taste and like what I think is cool. And they knew I was a big fan of him. So they're like, hey, you know, come and meet him, come and, you know, and I felt like it was a dream job in that sense of the people embraced me so much, and they also like really cared about what I was interested in. They knew that I have these interests, and whenever there was a moment to let me be part of it or integrated or included in these interests, they were like, sure, come on, like, you know, I like another example is like, I don't know if I can swear. Can I?
Yeah, you can swear.
Okay, I fucked up. Like, I had to send something for a shoot in New York. I had to send products for a shoot, and I fucked it up, and I didn't send the stuff on time. And my boss, Layla, at the time, she was like, you know what? Pack a suitcase, pack the stuff in a suitcase. You're gonna go to New York tomorrow, and you're gonna take the stuff.
Oh, no,
and I'm just like,
you're like, oh no.
just like staying in the Standard Hotel, like Cara Delevingne staying across from me, and it was like, it was just like mad, you know. Like this was like, I think it was really important at this age, and I mean, it's gonna get more critical, but it's very important at this age to be unimpressed by this stuff, and that was like necessary because I was such a fan. I was such a hype beast in that way of just like, wow, I love all this stuff. I love this culture so much. And to see it and to like, you know, let it be part of your day to day, it just like, it's kind of numbing to it. Also like one of my big milestones is like, young black man, I just want to work at this one brand. Like I didn't want more for myself, you know? So to go there, to have that job and to see it, it just puts everything in perspective.
Absolutely, and I mean, it kind of also opens then like your perspective on what is actually doable, right? You're 20, you get to see and meet all these different people, so you can definitely like pave a way in that realm. I
mean, it's their dream, you know, you're living in their dream. You're watching them live their lives, and it's like their global news, and it's nothing to do with you. You know, you're just a pawn in their bigger game. So you can get lost in that, you know, and that's like with like celeb news and like all these things. It's easy to get lost in it, but you know, to like step back and to think about like what actually like drives you, what makes you happy, and it doesn't have to be that same scale. It's just what you enjoy, you know. And I think that perspective of seeing, you know, these things that I once was such a fan for being so normal. Made me realize, you know, like maybe I've got to focus a bit more on myself and focus on what I want to do, because like, so it can be more eye level also, so that it's not just like, oh, hey, wow, oh, amazing, but actually just to close the gap, like, because they're just like me, you know, they inspire me because they're also like me. They change their situation dramatically.
I mean, you also often, when you get in touch with these type of people, you actually notice they're also just human beings 100%. At the end of the day.
They're super regular.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, so everything they do is also attainable for yourself if you see the bigger picture and also like hone in on your craft. Yeah. That's also what I always had the feeling with when I kind of met these celebrities. When you're like younger, you're starstruck, but later on you're like, I want to hustle to get there as well.
No, I feel like it's never me your idols in that sense, because you were disappointed. But I didn't think it left me disappointed. It just left me focused more on myself and less focused on them, because they have enough attention. They have enough going on. They have enough people that fan over them. Like, it's not just me. You know, maybe like you sit in your room, you're like, oh, I'm such a fan of this person. You go in context and see them, and you go to a concert and you're like, okay, like 50,000 people also love this person just as much, and they even know the songs better than I do. Like, so like, how much of a fan am I really, you know? And then maybe be a fan of yourself, in fact.
Right after that internship, it also kind of made sure that you got a 5-year job in Amsterdam, right?
I mean, like I would be lying to say that it was they gave it to me like that. It was not true, you know. I think I had a really humbling moment of like my internship's coming to an end. I'm meeting all of these people internationally from around the world that are like doing the same thing, 6-month internship, and I'm hearing them saying, yeah, you know, I've got promised this job, and I saw people a couple of months before me have been promised this job, not get this job, you know, have to leave, have to go back to the situation. So I just had some really like good chats with like some team members, and they said, you know what, like you've got to make your own way. Go and talk to like every person that you've worked with thus far and see where you fit in and see where you can actually go and like do something and like and transform your job to being something real, like substantially. Like because again, I had this dream job. I had a job that was it's just an internship, but in my head it's a dream job. It's just an internship. I was just an intern pushing boxes, like sending packages, just an intern. But everyone dreams to work in that department. But in fact, just to go and work in the organization it did give me more. So I went to a guy from Amsterdam, like he was working in the digital marketing team, and he said, hey, we have another internship, 6 months, but it's in Amsterdam. Would you like to come to Amsterdam and you can like work for Adidas Neo, which was like a more like younger demographic brand, and Adidas Originals. And at that time, this was like 2012, and it was like to work with the social media team. So to go and like Adidas, like I didn't even know Instagram at that time. I probably made Instagram like a year ago, and to go and work with Adidas Instagram and like help doing like scheduling of posts and work in digital marketing, which I knew nothing about at the time. So it was like, okay, I'm up for the challenge.
And that's also like a year before you kind of founded the name deadHYPE, right? As like a radio station.
Yeah.
And I mean, Amsterdam is also quite big in like the streetwear and the fashion market. Exactly. Was that also where you like kind of molded the idea of deadHYPE, not just being a radio station or like a blog that like talked about sneakers and culture, but also like kind of building that idea of like, okay, I want a creative agency or I want a multidisciplinary vision hub where anyone can like maybe ask me for my expertise and what I think is maybe relevant for culture?
I think when I was at uni, I had a friend called Hakeem. Shout out Hakeem. I really like, as I relive these stories, I remember all the people that played a role in where we are today. And I had a friend called Hakeem, and we were on eBay. We were buying shoes on sale, and we were selling on eBay. And like it was just like deadHYPE in that sense of like, it's hype, there's dead, it's in sale now, so we're gonna sell it. And that was like, we kind of like made this like eBay page, and we were selling a lot on Facebook, on eBay. And I just kept that name. I just liked it. I thought it was cool. It was a cool name for me. When I moved to Amsterdam and I was working as an intern, again, I was just like, I wanted a bit more for myself. I think I like the bubble had burst of like just working at a corporation and this being my dream, It burst for me. So I wanted to find something that's like giving me more. And I found DJing. DJing was something that was, it just opened me up to a whole new world. And I had a friend, shout out Chris, and Chris was a DJ. He was getting bored of his life as a house DJ. He was done quite well for himself in Amsterdam. And he said, hey, if you want, I'm gonna teach you how to play. I'll teach you how to DJ. And I was like, man, I've got like these ideas. I'm really feeling like I could push this to the next level. If you teach me how to DJ, I think I can take this to somewhere else, And so Chris, very patient, took his time, and like, I was awful. I was really, really bad. I was really bad. For a long time, I was very bad. And he tried to teach me like vinyl, so playing with like covering up the BPMs, the beat matching, I was shit. I was terrible DJ. But he just took his time with me. He was super patient, and we used to take like equipment because we were not really getting booked because I was so bad. So we'd take equipment to like supermarket, which was a fashion store in Amsterdam. We'd set up like in the front window and we'd play for free every weekend. So it was, because at that time, my life was, I'd work at my internship and I didn't have enough money because I was getting paid about 800 euros a month. So I didn't have enough money for my rent because my rent was already at 600 euros. So I'd work on the weekends at the Adidas store. I'd work at their stockroom because from retail, I knew how to work there. So even if I didn't speak Dutch, I can just go and like stack the boxes and put stuff up to just make an income so that I could live. So in between this, I was also trying to DJ and trying to like get this off the ground. I was just, I think it's easy. We talk about burnouts a lot, and I think that I've burnt out so many times in my life, but there's, that's like that dream, if you're chasing something, I think it's hard to know when it's to stop. Like, as you get older, you know how to like take a break, and you like start to really think about your mental health and how work is just a thing that can be picked up at any time. But in that time, I was so hungry for for opportunity. I was so hungry to do something that I just couldn't be stopped at that time. So,
And why did you choose Berlin then afterwards to kind of establish the deadHYPE as like a brand? And was it easy also to penetrate the culture here in Berlin?
I think my ex-wife moved to Berlin, and we were dating for a period of time, and my ex-wife was Dutch. So when she moves to Berlin, I'm living in Holland, and I'm thinking to myself, like, why would I stay in Holland when my partner at the time is living in Berlin? So I would visit, I would come here, I applied for many jobs, I tried to work at High Snob, and never really materials, never worked out, So I just I made the jump, and I went to, because I'd been working social in Amsterdam, I'd been working at Adidas, I went to work as social media manager at Zalando. So I came to Berlin in like 2015, 2016 maybe, and then I just started working at Zalando.
And then you built deadHYPE next to the job at
Yeah,
Zalando?
I mean, deadHYPE had so in the time from Amsterdam, from 2000, since I'd moved to Amsterdam, deadHYPE was going. We were playing festivals. At some point, it just picks off the ground. I have to thank G a lot, G from Pata, because he was. The way that they support the local scene in Amsterdam is insane. They are like black self-made men that look at their city, look at the people around the community and say, you know what, if you need help, we're going to support you. So anytime we had an idea, anytime we'd run with hey, we want to do this, I go to G, I'd say, hey, and I mean, G at some point find me annoying of just man, this kid again, Bernard, man, damn, leave me alone with this new idea. And he would always say all right, cool, this I can do. Let's say of 10 ideas, 1 is possible. And it was really nice to get into that pitch process of going to someone, pitching ideas and trying to see what someone would take. And yeah, and I mean, that helped us to get to a certain point, to be able to play Apple Sap and this festival in the Netherlands, and play Pitch Festival at the time was a really cool festival. Go to New York and LA and DJ, go to Asia and DJ. And then always we wanted to make audiovisual content of everything we're doing. So when we're playing, we're filming, we're just trying to take all the elements of everything that we do and every moment we have and celebrate it and share it and say, okay, we're gonna make documentary style or photos, or just because we were so passionate and happy about what we are doing. We're just into our thing, and that was what was driving us. We do radio and bring DJs on, film them, take the time, because it was just important for us to celebrate what we do and not to focus on anything else.
And that's how the projects or the portfolio of projects grew and grew and grew, and now you have all this renommee of the different clients that you worked with, and everything that stands for deadHYPE kind of has a certain essence and power to it.
Yeah, I feel we definitely celebrate local culture, and we celebrate, and I think that when I moved here, that was the thing that I found was missing a bit. That I missed the support, I missed the infrastructure, I missed if I have an idea, who do I really go to? Who's actually going to help me? And I think I wanted to be that person. I wanted to offer support, offer infrastructure, offer the little I know to be able to help empower someone and give them an opportunity to make money. And it was not about money for me. It was just about doing something. It's the contribution and doing stuff. And I mean, people that know me, they know this is how I am. That I like to do stuff. I like to be busy. I like to be active. So it's so not about money. This is why we have the logo of dollar signs, because it's if that's what it is, needs to be we talk about, then we show it, and then we don't think about it. Everything that we do is for contribution, for community, and to really just make some impact, even if it's 10 people care about it, it's okay for us. It's just what drives us and what makes us happy.
In 2020, you then also got to design a sneaker together with Adidas. And I mean, there are not a lot of people that can say that they actually collaborated on a shoe with such a powerhouse of a brand. How did that actually happen? And you also pointed out that you really cherish the two-way dialogue that Adidas has. That you felt it's not just about kind of sucking out the essence of the culture and then exploit and get some traffic from it, but rather that they rather invest into the people, into the community, maybe like Pata that you pointed out. Do you have the feeling that a lot of brands don't really work like that? They just kind of suck out and exploit and then ditch?
I called my business partner before I come into this podcast, and he's like, chill. Because they know how I am. They're like, chill, don't go too hard. Yeah. But, you know, I say it like this. It's about the individuals that work at the businesses. It's not about the business. It's not about the company. It's about the individual. It's about the person that like cares about their job, and like they're an impresario in some way where they just want to do something good. And in every company that I work with, I can tell you those people. I can tell you, hey, talk to this person. They care about what they're doing. They're putting in all the energy. They're putting in all the love of what they're doing. Maybe it's not the company you love. Maybe it's not your preferred brand. Maybe it's not your dream collaboration, but that person cares about what they're doing. That person is going to listen to you. That person is going to give you a platform to like, that person is going to go internally and fight for you. And I feel like that's what it's about. It's not, I care little for companies. I care little for corporations. And I'm not saying it just joking. I really mean it. It's about the people. It's about the individuals I work with, and nurturing them, having a relationship with them, staying in contact with them, because they are like human beings, you know, and they want to do good things. They actually just want to help you, or want to help. Like, if you can send something good enough to a person, they just want to help you, you know. They're just like, yeah, sure, like, let's try, let's see what happens. And I think that the reason I get this collaboration is not because I'm the best designer. It's not because I'm the best tastemaker or anything. It's purely because I care about what I'm doing and I don't stop doing it. I'm just very consistent. I'm very consistent, and I'm very committed to my cause. Mm-hmm. So, and as soon as I got this collaboration, my friend that I intern with, who is still a designer at Adidas, I say, hey, James, can you design this shoe for me? Because I want to work with somebody that was part of this. I want to celebrate this moment with the people that are helped me get there, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's, it's, I think the deadHYPE for me is like the platform to be able to work with other people. It's not that I'm trying to do anything particularly my own goal, my own agenda. I feel like I'm just happy to celebrate others and work with others. But knowing that to work with others, you need to build infrastructure. You need to create ways for them to be able to work and to be able to collaborate with you, and finding that, like, so the sneaker as an example was a great way for us to collaborate with like 3D artists and graphic designers and musicians and like seed people. That's what it's about for me, you know, that we can, just like contribute. I think I use this word contribute, but I don't use it lightly. I really mean it, like just finding ways that it's not always like taking, it's also giving, you know? Mm-hmm.
I mean, communities was kind of also the buzzword like last year when it comes to like cultural marketing. Do you think for like, how do you see the change for this year, and what do you think cultural marketing is gonna take place for like 2024?
I think that cultural marketing is like, community is something that people want, but they don't know how to define it, what actually is a community. Like, they're just like, they're focused on working with communities. So maybe it's just a nice umbrella term for like POC, or for like certain like the LGBTIA plus community, that they just can like say communities and just like, you know, just throw it out there. But it means nothing, you know, it doesn't mean anything. And I think that probably they still see it as like scenes or subcultures. Like when they say communities, they see it as like identity politics, but actually community would be subcultures, would be just a group of people that share an interest, or care about one topic, or care about multiple topics, or just, you know, it's like some togetherness feeling, which I think is a little bit more on a spectrum than you can just snatch it. Mm-hmm. So when people talk about community, most times they're just working with one person. They're not working with a community. They're working with one individual and saying community. Mm. So I don't know if that answers the question, but I feel like in 2024, brands, it doesn't matter what they're doing. It really doesn't. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they're just going to do whatever is driving like the bottom line and what is making them money. And if you're lucky enough, you can work with some amazing individuals that care about their job and want to help you it's about us and the creatives and the people that want to do something. It's about our ideas, and we bring it to them and making sure that we have a good enough understanding of our values to not get exploited, to not get taken for an idiot, and not to let them just like rinse our ideas and put it in whatever, or to leave us out dry, or to do one-off approaches with us. So, you know, again, I care not for the brands, I care for the people, and like how you have information and infrastructure to be able to do whatever you want. So you're 100% empowered.
In contrary to most creators and these brands that you were talking about, a lot of them really focus on like social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram to try to like reach Gen Z and Gen Alpha. You kind of like took another approach now, like in halfway through the last year, you came out with like the first magazine of deadHYPE CLTV magazine. I think Malengo was like on the first cover, and now recently the second magazine dropped. First of all, how did you come to this approach of, you know what, rather let me print a hardcover and go back to like print, although like print maybe is dying in a lot of eyes, I guess. Sure. But what was your thought process behind it, and who are the protagonists in like the new magazine?
I mean, the print is dying. Like across the world, it's dying. But whatever is happening in the rest of the world is not happening in Germany. Like the level of progression or innovation that is happening in New York or London is not happening in Germany. So when I think about a magazine works in Germany because Germany isn't far. The budgets that sit in the companies in local markets is still old school. They're still paying bloggers for Instagram posts. They're still doing campaigns with people that don't have any skill, you know, like, so there's no innovation in the market. So all that can happen is that you can take the dazed approach of the 1990s and say, hey, let's celebrate local culture, or RWD, in fact, like in London, let's show like heroes of the city so that the people can look and say, hey, you know, wow, we don't know that's happening in Berlin. We didn't know this person is even doing it. We didn't know this person's living in here. So to try and give the people of Berlin our platform, like whoever has their eyes on what we're doing, the people of the city, and it's not just the people that grow up in Berlin, the people that are just in Berlin, that are like working on an international front. We give you our platform so that whoever's looking at what we're doing, they can see what you're doing, because what you're doing is amazing, and you should be validated, and you should have as much money and empowerment as possible. So right now we have Yummy Club on the cover, and Yummy Club are, you know, these interviews where they say like, hey, fuck man.
I know which one you mean. It's like, what's your favorite neighborhood? And
exactly.
And like, what is your best restaurant, best club,
exactly. So, you know, and I see them as this collective, and I don't think, I know what they're doing. I know the individuals, and I know their creative output. They're making music, they're making videos, they want to do film. They're so much broader than these interviews. But they're like, I don't know, like 200K followers on Instagram and like massive on TikTok for like that format that they've made work. And I think that by taking them and putting those cover stars, it was trying to celebrate and show these are the individuals behind this. And this is like their creative output. This is like these individuals, like they sing, they make music, they make content, but they also have just found a piece of their creativity that brings them money. But at the same time, like they're a powerhouse, you know, and like I want to celebrate that, I want to show that. So we had them on the front, had Mariama and Question Mark, like an amazing DJ from New York who's now living in Berlin, and put them on the back. And it was just nice to have two covers of like people that we thought are just doing amazing things in Berlin that, you know, need more attention.
I think that's kind of also, it's put very nicely, because that's kind of the struggle I think that a lot of like people have that are in the creative scene nowadays. You have this broad portfolio of capabilities. For example, at Yummy Club, you do music, you do art, you do film, etc. But if you want to function on like these social media platforms, only a certain format works, for example, and that kind of gives you the platform or the visibility to actually reach people, because everything's so like short and like so quick.
Yeah.
So you need to find a way, even as a creative. I know it sucks, but like short form content, video content is kind of the future. Sure. If like me as a model, I need to find a format that gives me exposure, that also then generates again leads for my Instagram page. Although it's like there's so much more around.
Yeah, I mean, there's more to you than just like one format that you make. But
absolutely,
like,
but that's how it works, I guess.
I think that if we look at like businesses, like let's look at like the business units of Nike as an example. They have basketball, they have football, they have lifestyle, they have women's, they have yoga. You know, these are all different formats. Do they all perform the same? And do they work the same? Do they tell the story of Nike the same? No, it's just like that's their creative output. That's what they need to do to show the world, like, hey, these are our ideas. And I find the same as an individual. It's like whatever your creative output is, you don't have to put it in one format. You don't have to say it's just for TikTok, or you can just do whatever you want. You know, these platforms are just individual platforms, and if they're not giving you the time of day, or it's not responding to you, look for another platform. Look for press. Look for communities of people that will actually help you. Like the platform is irrelevant. You know, it's your creative. Like there are so many like tattoo artists that they make insane amounts of money. They're not big online. They just do their drawings. They don't care about posting. They don't care about anything because they have like a platform of being in a studio. So there is just no rule and there's no way that it has to go. It's just important that you just don't lose yourself trying to service one platform or try to be showing yourself to appease, you know, because it will change and it's fast. It will change quickly, you know, and like what we do now in 5 years won't matter. Like now short form content is working well, but the TikTok will say, you know, we want to have 10-minute videos. We actually going to see 1 hour videos. We want to cannibalize YouTube. You know, they are just businesses. They just care about their bottom line. They don't care about you. They don't care about the creator. They just want to grow and take as much market share as possible. So if you are focused on those things, you know, you lose yourself. You know, and also for the wrong objectives, because they don't have an objective that is close to what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. I mean, also a couple of weeks ago, the Berlin Fashion Week, we talked about it already, took place. And I mean, your party is also kind of like the cornerstone. The opening party took place at Georgia Bar, right? And also a lot of people from the scene or from the local scene here kind of said like that Berlin Fashion Week this year kind of spread its wings and is like kind of becoming cool. What was your, would you object that, or did you kind of had the feeling that it was like a special fashion week and that we are kind of like on the right tracks?
I think I read today something in Vogue Business of like about Berlin Fashion Week, and they called it beyond the big four. So like the big fashion weeks, and that now Berlin is kind of like getting to that space where Milan is. And yeah, I mean, cool. I mean, I have tough conversations with like, you know, the institutions around Fashion Week and like the magazines. I have really tough conversations, and I'm being critically honest that because what we do, they say is a party, and okay, you know, that's really fine. That's really fine because it's the opening moment. But I think that our objectives is not what they care about. So it's for Fashion Week. It's really about the shows and it's about fashion. But that's not what made it like pop or tick over, you know. It's more about like the people caring. So we as the people care about what's happening in Berlin. We as the people contribute and say, all right, we're interested in the show. We as the people say, all right, we're going to put on the show. But so again, it's really hard for me to like think about these things because I don't want to. You know, I don't care about what they're. Like Fashion Week as an entity, I like the date. I like the fact that like loads of people will be in Berlin for this moment. I like that we can do a party on a Monday and people will be up for it. And we can like book DJs and it's fun. But yeah, with or without Fashion Week, you know, it's we're just gonna do our thing. And this one's very hard for me. I had some tough conversations about Fashion Week this week, so it's very tough for me to I haven't got it yet. I haven't like really rationalize my thoughts of, I'm feeling a bit agitated. I'm feeling a bit wronged that as we contribute yearly trying to do something bi-yearly and trying to do something and put on something cool for the city. And when it starts to work, we will be the first to be forgotten. And I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with like the magazines writing about everything but not writing about what we're doing because they want to reduce us to a party. But when we were doing it and no one was doing it, and then internationally people care about what Fashion Week in a context of, oh, there's a dope opening party but nothing else. I find it, I just can't validate by myself by these people, you know? I can only validate myself by like my team, the people that are like we give opportunities to, and the people that come to our things. And if they say, hey, it wasn't good, scale up, make it less busy, that's what's important. I can't care about this, because if I do, I'm getting angry, I'm getting frustrated, I'm just getting like, oh, why don't you care what I think? Why is this not fashion for you? It's irrelevant, you know?
So also because creative work also fluctuates all the time, and I mean, during Corona, there were also quite a lot of downtimes. You're also very able to stretch yourself from DJing to being a consultant, being a tattoo artist also sometimes. Would you say you stretch yourself or diversify just to make sure that there's also always like a stream of income, first of all? And second of all, I mean, it's still very hard to do. Like, how do you make sure not to burn out?
You know, I burn out from time to time, I do. And I've had, like, a couple of years ago, I had a very bad burnout. And my business partner, Johannes, is like a gem to me. Johannes and I, we are like chalk and cheese. We're like the polar opposites of each other. But this guy, when I burn out, he pushes for us. And he makes sure that we keep going. He makes sure the clients are like, you know, we're still working. And I think what I have is personal drive. You know, I know that I just have a mission. I can't explain to you what my mission is, but I'm really trying to build an infrastructure so that I'm not so reliant on anyone to do anything. And at the same time, if anyone wants to do anything, they can ask me and I'm going to help them. I'm really going to help them. So I'm really focused on that mission. So whenever work is slow, my mission doesn't stop. So perhaps when consulting gets quiet, I would maybe tattoo more, because then I think, you know what, I have these ideas, maybe I can help people like, you know, like express themselves more, you know, like if we can, to look more creative, like, okay, let's find a way. Or I feel like I want to DJ more because I have a good relationship with the people that ask me to DJ, and I feel like, okay, well, you know, I can play, I'm going to play music that I know they can appreciate. It's a lot of the times, it's the people that I'm working with. It's not the companies, it's the people that I generally just like the individuals I work with, that I think, I like you as a person, or like we share objectives or we share a mission. So it's easy to like find those people constantly. And I'm really happy that this is making me money. I'm really happy that this is making my team money. And I'm really happy to share how we do it. So that's how it is, you know. There's never a moment that I'm like, I've had zero, you know, I've had no money. I've had like rice and beans, like energy. So I know how I can like get it from the mud. I know how I can make money. So I always, and it's not illicit, you know, it's like, there's always like a reduction. Okay, I have too many overheads. I study economics, you know, I have too many overheads. I reduce my overheads. I sell my clothes. I get on Depop. I go to the flea market every morning. I go and check what there's there. I look on my phone and say, okay, this is like gonna sell. This vase is doing well. I sell it on a platform. You know, there's just no excuse for me, and that can of course play a toll on my mental to help me burn out. But I'm so happy I have good people around me to slow me down and to like make me also appreciate other things in life and not just my blind ambition. You know, so yeah, it's.
I mean, it's also you're a father now, right?
Of
like
course, yeah.
How old is Ace now?
Ace he's 3. It's about to turn 4.
About to turn 4. I mean, so let's say one day he's like, okay, Dad, I actually want to also get into the creative field. I also want to do what you do. Yeah. What would be like let's just say like the main important things or learnings that you made, where you say, okay, Ace, if you got like these characteristics, if you watch these things, I think you're gonna be successful. What would those be?
I would make him watch. I I would make him learn the tax system first. Learn the tax system first, number one. Learn how businesses are structured. Learn the differences between the UG, the GBR, the GmbH. Like, learn this, understand this first. Understand what a Steuerberater does for you. Understand how the Finanzamt works. Understand who you will call at the Finanzamt. Like, learn these base structures, because this is a constant. This is something that can't change. You're always going to be in this. So whatever happens, money, no money, this is first.
Death and taxes is always.
Yeah, this is guaranteed. So once you have a basic understanding of this, then it's about, okay, like, what do you enjoy doing, and how can you do that with people that you enjoy to be around, and let's go from there. You know, if you're super big on cutting paper, and my child's 4, so I'm thinking about like what he really does. You're super big on cutting paper. Okay, let's go and look for like somebody selling scissors or somebody that's selling paper, and see like what kind of people come to shop here. What do they buy? Like what are they? What kind of industries are around this shop? You know, because this is a business that it lives from exactly that target group that you're interested in. You know, so let's go and find it. Let's go and investigate. Let's do the research. So I think understanding tax, and then really doing research on like, what are you trying to do? What are your objectives? And then it will be okay. You don't need to make like multi-millions for it to be successful or to be validated. You know, it's like, I think that this like hustle thing and this like grind to the million thing is super toxic. You know, it's like many people will never make that in their life. You know, and it's like just a humble reality that we just have to like accept this, that maybe it's more important that we are happy, our families are happy, we feel good, and we're happy with like the things that we're doing, than trying to make an infinite number that has no objective, that we don't really think about.
Okay. And I mean, when we talked also in the past, you said you were also trying to be like more active in other markets like New York and London, and trying to also establish working relationships over there. Is that also still an objective for 2024? And what are some like cool like projects that we can look forward to for this year?
I'm really happy to say that we got some like really cool things planned. So we have some really nice activations coming up. We have got some good clients like on board on like research projects, but also just like classic consulting. So where we're going in, advising, helping. I don't want to name drop them. I won't say them. I won't say who they are, and not for risk of somebody taking from me, but really just I want to do the work first. I want the work to show, and then, you know, and I mean, we've had some. We just like, I mean, we did this music video for Skiagu for the zoning, and it was a production job. They're #1, you know, like, you know, this is a big feat, and we're hoping to do a lot more of that this year as well, like to work with artists to produce music videos of just, again, it comes down to infrastructure. It's like, we have the ability to find some cars, we have the ability to like scout locations. This infrastructure is then we can like give it as a service to someone else. So yeah, and we do plan to do a lot of like activations in Berlin, but I'm really into Ghana right now, you know, and it's not like the Dirty December Ghana or December celebration. It's really that I just find that there is something of my culture that is like a bottomless pit of reference and information, and if I as close as I get to it is as much as I can. You know, this is like, there's so much history and so much culture that I can constantly be inspired, and I can reference and I can use as like in like my creative outlets. So I'm really focused there. I just got like a citizenship to like travel to Ghana, like a residency to travel to Ghana back and forth without like visas and stuff. So I'm really gonna try and spend time there. My son also enjoys to be there. So I'm gonna try and go back at least once this year to like, just to go and understand more. And we of course, we have like issue 3 and 4 will come out in July and January. Yeah, there's work-wise, you know, it's, I think Johannes can tell you better, because we're just working, but it's and
we will eventually see.
Yeah, you'll see. You know,
out,
it's
so
like, I mean, I think August,
July,
August, September, we do a lot. You know, so like, there will be a lot coming out in these dates, but yeah, it's that's the best I can say. You know, I just don't want to like name drop my clients because again, I respect the people, and I don't want like people stressing them about like, oh, you know, you did this for them, because they don't even know how like the relationship comes about with this person, like, or how they would ask us for something and say, hey, you know, like we really need this, and can you do this for us? So sometimes, a lot of times it stems like this, or we are just sitting with an idea of like, we really have this idea to do something, and we're going and we're getting shut down by like 100 people, not just joke, 100 people saying no to our idea and just keep going. So some of our ideas are allowed to get out of the like, out of our like Google Drive to do something. So yeah, I want them to happen, and then we can talk about it. Next, we do part 2.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much for your time. And I mean, the Siagu video I already saw, which also turned out really nice, super dope. So I'm very curious what is still going to happen for this year. Thank you for your time again.
No, I really appreciate it. It was such a nice conversation. You let me go back like really deep to think about some things I've never thought about. So
no, I could definitely tell. Like, yeah, you shared a lot of perspective on what happened like in your past and how you got to the point where you are right now. So I think it's also gonna give a lot of like school a lot of people that want to go in the direction or the field that you're working in, and also gain a better perspective of what it takes. So thank you for that insight.
Oh, appreciate it.